All right, Coffee with Gaz here with Carlos Garcia, Euler Hermes, which we talk about this off camera, but like the best kept secret in insurance that shouldn't be a secret, right? We're doing a little insurance talk, and we've been friends from before. Obviously, we do some stuff together now, but I think it's important to kind of get into it. So much about what you do and why, honestly, most people don't know about it. But insuring receivables, right? Or AKA credit insurance. Big question is, why do you think more people know about this?
I think it has to do with awareness. I just think that a lot of people don't know about it because the way it traditionally right now it's getting out onto the market is with word of mouth.
Right.
So give you an example. You might go to a party for your kids. You know, you're sitting with somebody at the table, and that person, you see them a little down, and you ask them, hey, what's going on, And the person might come out, yeah, man, I got this guy overseas that owes me $500,000 for some iPhones I sold to him. And now you come on and say, oh, there's insurance for that, you know that? And then that's how the talk starts. It's something as simple as that.
Well, I could imagine, because embarrassing enough, before we talked a few years ago, I wasn't aware of it. And I've been in the business for 16 years now, right? And we just don't do it enough. It's just not something on the forefront as far as like the P&C world, right? And it's coincidentally enough, literally we talk about insuring people's balance sheets. But the product that you offer literally does that, right? We're insuring receivables. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're 100%. If you look at someone's balance sheet, every line item on a balance sheet is insured, whether it's mandatory 9 out of 10 times, or it's something that the customer feels that it's as high risk. For example, just fire in a building. What are the chances of you having a fire in a building? It's pretty slim, but everybody insures it. And then you look at your balance sheet, and your largest exposure, which is your receivables, is the one thing that a lot of people choose not to insure, or they don't know that it can be insured, which is scary.
So what's a typical client, right? Because most people tell you, hey, look, I'm friends with all my vendors, right? That's kind of knowing about this product more, talking to you. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to start bringing it up to some of our clients, and usually it's saying, I've been doing business with this guy or this woman for 15, 20 years, right? They're not going to not pay me. Is that kind of the typical, rejection?
That's the easy answer. Yeah. No, I know him. Oh, he's a family friend. And I tell people all the time, the people that know you and have the closest relationship to you are the ones that eventually are not going to pay you. They're going to string you out the longest because they don't want to disappoint you.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my clients. I understand, that you think that person is going to betray you. But it's not that they're trying to betray you. It's they're going to ride you to the end, And if they come to you and say, hey, Luis, let me get 5 more days to pay the bill. Sure. Let me get 30 days. Okay, sure. Let me have 2 more months. You're going to keep saying sure. But when he goes to, for example, Walmart, and he tells Walmart, hey, can I pay the bill in an extra 30 days? Walmart's going to say, no, not so much. And that's the difference. So I tell people, your customer that you think is that close, yes, it is true. That person morally and ethically might not, abandon the bill and stuff like that. But you never know what can happen. They can be walking down the street, get hit by a car. We just got over COVID. They can get COVID and pass away. And that's a tough situation for now you to go to their wife or husband and say, hey, he owes me $500,000. What are we going to do about this? And they're going to say, I knew nothing about this business.
We're closing down.
Right. I didn't run the business.
Well, now that you brought up COVID, talk about I think the other thing would be hey, I'm too big to fail, right?
Yep.
Royal Caribbean is never not going to pay me. So, when you look at that, COVID must have changed how you guys are doing business, like a lot of us, right? Yep. But as far as how you're underwriting accounts, but I'm sure you had plenty of clients who were dealing in the cruise line industries. How do you kind of manage that, right?
Yeah, it was a scary situation. And a lot of our customers, believe it or not, were, extremely upset that we weren't covering these cruise lines going forward. And I have specific customers that had, for example, a meat distributor, and he was like, "Hey, I still have to sell to Royal Caribbean. They still have to service these ships. There's a crew on there. They're gonna pay these bills, but do you know if they're gonna pay these bills? They're not. They're not sailing. It's just sitting there. They're burning through cash left and right. So you just didn't know. You know, another one is the retail sector.
Oh, the retail Armageddon that's going on right now?
Yeah. You don't know. You know, how many people have now turned on to Amazon? And Amazon is the way of life for everything. Me personally, I got used to looking on Amazon. If I find something I need, the first thing I do is, let me check it and see if they sell it on Amazon. You know, if it's something I need right now today, that's a little bit different. I can, go to the store.
Well, break it down like as far as like who should be a client, right? Let's walk it like if you're a middleman, distributor, manufacturer, anybody involved in that transaction, right? You could insure that receivable, and the receivables is like a trickle down effect, right? Who pays who?
Exactly. It goes from the manufacturer to the wholesaler to the distributor till it actually hits the retail market. That's where the receivable pretty much dies. But all of those layers, all you need is one of those layers to fail for it to trickle down and hit you. Manufacturer fails, you're done.
So like as far as exclusions goes, was COVID covered on all your clients?
Well, COVID is not an insurable event. What we insure, and like what I tell people, what we insure is the inability to pay.
Right.
So it's not, hey, I don't want to pay. It's, hey, I don't have the money to pay. The reason why you don't have the money is
irrelevant.
Is irrelevant. It's, I don't have the money to pay you. It's not, I don't want to pay you. And a lot of people confuse that and say, well, if there's a hurricane, are you going to pay me? Okay. You cannot say, well, there was a hurricane, so I cannot pay you. But if you say, hey, there was a hurricane, my building is wiped off the face of the earth, I don't have any more money, I cannot pay you. There's an inability to pay.
Okay.
But the actual event is not a...
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. It's not a covered event.
No, and so it makes it very clear, right? Just
Right.
the inability to pay, or promise fulfilled, right, in this contract.
Right.
But I mean, doesn't it benefit actually business owners to have it because it gives you better payment terms? You can be a little more flexible, right? Isn't it kind of like an added value, especially if you're doing stuff overseas? You can insure, it's 50%, not everything paid up front.
To me, it's a deal breaker. If you have insurance and you're going to ship, we'll stick with the same thing, cell phones overseas. Usually that distributor or retailer that you're selling to is going to want minimum 60 to 90 day terms, between the transit time and all of that. If you can offer that,
You're going to separate yourself from the
right?
competitors.
I can't fix your cash flow. If you have a cash flow issue, I can't fix that.
I think everybody has a cash flow. That's
Right.
like the biggest issue with everybody, right?
But if you don't have a cash flow issue and you're saying, okay, I have product and I have the ability to sell my product. The only thing that I'm worried about is once it leaves my possession, how do I know I'm going to get paid?
Yeah.
And that's what we're in the game of protecting. We're in the sleep business. A lot of people say, what do you mean sleep business? Yeah. If I ship out $500,000 to Mexico, for example, after that leaves your possession, you're owed $500,000. What are the chances that you're not going to get paid for that? I can guarantee if the customer says, hey, I can't pay you, you're going to lose sleep.
Right.
Well, now if they tell you, hey, I can't pay you, you're still going to be a little bit bothered, but in the back of your mind, you're saying, at least I got insurance. God forbid this goes bad.
No, and that the receivable piece. No, is it receivables or is it credit insurance? Is the term, right? That's the
Yeah, it's got a whole bunch of names. A lot of people say credit insurance. A lot of people say accounts receivables insurance. A lot of people say AR insurance. So there's a lot of names that it can be called, but basically the easy thing is we insure accounts receivables.
Yeah, that's the one missing piece. I mean, we look at, again, ensuring the balance sheet or managing risk. like out of all things that we can offer, like that one, the receivables is that one piece that we can't, right, on traditional lines. Like you're the only product that can do that.
Right. It's something that is, we're like in our world, we're a monoline carrier. This is all we do. Euler's been in business, I believe now about 135 years, only doing this.
Well, it's kind of insane that it's been around for so long and it's just not on the forefront of most people's minds. I think the biggest thing is most people look at insurance still as like they look at it as more of a lender requirement, which we talked about buying fire, windstorm, right? What's the bank asking me for? No one thinks about what's going to happen to them. They just look at checking boxes. Is it being required? But this conversation has to be kind of a lot more relevant and prevalent when it talks to like business owners. You know, even on our end, like we got to do a better job of just educating our clients that this does exist. You know, I mean, how hard is it to get a quote?
It's very easy. It's a lot of people think, and I've compared it, to getting a car insurance quote, to getting, a homeowner's insurance quote. And I tell people, I have a feeling that this is a lot easier. Okay, because basically what we ask you to do is fill out an application, which every insurance does. Let me have a list of your customers with 3 pieces of information, the name, the address, and the credit limit that you need. And pretty much instantly from me getting that stuff, I can give you a ballpark of what this is going to cost. Pretty darn close. Then it goes to an underwriter, and usually within 72 hours, I have a quote with all your buyers evaluated that you passed through and what you're going to pay.
So it's interesting. You mentioned like some of the back end stuff. Like you'll actually evaluate vendors, buyers for our insureds.
Right.
So like you'll be able to say proactively, hey, company XYZ is not doing too well as far as, because it's interesting. You have a lot of the back information. You're like the biggest secret on the back end. You know a little bit about everybody because of you guys insure everybody.
Right. And that's, there was a gentleman that used to work at our company for a long time, and he would tell us, your customer needs to know that when we tell them, no, this buyer is not insurable, that is more valuable than the yes. Because if I tell you, hey, this customer is not insurable for XYZ reason, now you have 2 decisions to make. One is, do I want to continue selling to them? If I do, what adjustments can I make?
Right.
Do I lower their credit terms from 60 to 30 days? Do I not sell them as much at one time? Do I make them prepay a portion? So now, but with the information I gave you, you can make a decision how you want to continue that relationship with that buyer. When I tell you yes, you're basically gung ho. We're open for business,
right.
and let's sell to the max.
And to be clear, if you guys tell somebody, hey, they're not insurable, that's catastrophic, right? Like there's no way. Because you guys can insure almost anybody, right?
Right. And what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of the information that we have to make these decisions are confidential. A lot of our current policyholders have provided us financials on these buyers. Some we sign NDAs with that the buyers actually give us their financials. We have talks with these CEOs and CFOs. So we're in the business. So when we come to you and say, hey, this buyer is not insurable, and the reason, it's confidential, you really gotta sit back and say, how much do I really know about this buyer that I'm selling to $1 million to? There's a lot of customers that I talk to, and they say, oh, XYZ customer I want to give $1 million to. I look it up, and it doesn't support it. And I go back to the policy. I said, how did you make a decision to give this customer a credit line of $1 million? And some will say, well, I looked in their DMB, it looked good. Okay. Well, I've been selling to them for years, and I've been increasing the credit limit, and now we're here.
Right.
And I tell them, in some of these cases, the net income of these companies is lower than what you're giving them, or their payables are lower. And I'm looking at them like, how did you come up with this?
Yeah, I mean, just having that information, like having that info and that backing gives you such it takes any guessing out of the work, right? There's no more like I'm guessing if this is going to be a good deal or not. Like we talk about peace of mind. That's the ultimate peace of mind.
Right. And I'm not going to say we have the answers to every test. We don't. Okay. But what we do is we lower your probability of getting hit. If you're going to get hit, if, God forbid, Walmart today, files for bankruptcy, that's an unforeseen risk. You couldn't have seen it coming. I couldn't have seen it coming. It is what it is. But on the day-to-day normal, let's say private buyers, any little insight that we have, okay, can save you money, could save you time, could save your net income from being negative for the year.
So when you ask, one last thing I want to ask you, so when because there's another thing, you ask customers, hey, how much bad debt do you write off? Is that the first question too? That literally bad debt could equate to being insured, right?
Well, it depends on the time, okay? Like right now, our insurance, okay, was being sold on fear. It was, hey, you should buy this insurance because if you don't buy it and you get hit, you're done.
Right.
Where now it's transitioning into sales. People want to sell more because it's been shut down for such a long time.
Of course, and this makes you a little more aggressive, right? You can make better calculated risk. That's what it's all about.
Right. And so now you have product, you want to sell more, but now it's who do I sell this to that is credit worthy enough to pay it? So now it's transitioning into sales expansion. So most customers want to sell. I got hungry salespeople, but I don't know them.
Yeah, the distributor Argentina, I've never heard of them before. Website checks out, but we've had good conversations now via Zoom. This gives you that little added value. They check out the box, give them better terms. Let's go make money.
Exactly. So now it's transitioning into that. Selling on fear is very easy, but selling on sales expansion, taking somebody's and putting an ROI calculator into effect is where somebody can say, yes, this pays for itself.
Right. Of course, man, we got to start getting we got to get more credit insurance policies in the books.
Yeah.
I got to get you on the phone with more of my clients, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what I tell our customers. It sounds bad, but it doesn't cost you anything to have a 20-minute conversation with me. If it works out, it works out. But at least, give me the opportunity to get in front of you and say, hey, this customer's good. Well, this customer's bad.
I mean, look at it from my job, and I'm doing a disservice by not, as an agent, right, which we're trying to deliver that ultimate peace of mind, but not being able to have that 1%, right, the things that people aren't talking about, the actual balance sheet. It's our job as insurance agents to be able to, number one, know more about the product, but articulate it and offer it to our clients as well. So we got to do a better job of that.
Right. And like I've met with a lot of brokers before, and my biggest thing to them is, what's going to happen the day that your customer finds out about credit insurance from another broker?
Yeah.
He's going to come to you and say, hey, Luis, how come you never told me about this?
Where's the solution? Yeah.
You never told me about this. What else aren't you telling me? And now you lose the property and casualty, the flood. You lose all the other insurances that added up give you big, commission dollars. And that's what I tell people all the time. I say, why would you put yourself in that situation? Just bring it up.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing I can tell you? No, that doesn't work. I tried it. Okay. But bring it up. At least, the day that they do buy it, hopefully they buy it through you. But if they don't, no, Luis had told me about that.
No, it's credit insurance, man. We got to get it more, man. I appreciate you doing this little testimonial on credit insurance. It's important that, again, even us in the industry bring it up. You've been doing this for a long time, but it's one of those things where, people know they can insure their balance sheet. This is the way to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And here in Miami, this is, a little bit of food for thought. Our market penetration is 5%. Not Euler, but as a credit insurance industry. We can look, outside this window. Look how many businesses there are that are selling.
We're going to go prospecting.
that are selling.
We're going to go knock on doors.
They're selling unprotected.
I know. It's the fact that it's out there. We're going to change that, man, little by little.
That's the deal.
All right.